Hi, it's Ramesha here with Vocal Bliss. Today I would like to talk about vibrato, how to do it, and also how to use it in music. How does it work when you apply it to the songs and music that you sing? But as always, before we dive into it, I would like to invite you to subscribe to my channel so you don't miss any of the future videos I put out. Vibrato should come naturally as you develop your vocal technique. There are three important prerequisites, let's say, that need to be in place for good vibrato to happen. Number one, you need to have good breath support. So being able to breathe diaphragmatically and support your breath from your belly and your diaphragm. And number two, you need to have good placement, which means the ability to produce full resonant sounds without strain on your throat and vocal cords. And number three, just generally speaking, you need to be able to sing with relaxation. Attempting to use or develop vibrato without these three conditions, let's say, may lead to problems like vibrato that is tense or sounds like sheep, like very, very fast, and just not very pleasant. But most importantly, it will actually lead to more tension because you're trying to do something that your vocal organs aren't ready for, and so you necessarily will very likely need to create tension that is not necessary. When those three elements are in place, what you can do is to gradually nudge your voice slightly to do vibrato, and you can start by doing it when you have long notes, and toward the end of that note you can just try to have the intention of doing vibrato, something like this. So you hold a note, and at the very end you just try to encourage your voice to do vibrato. And what you can do is pretty much, think about it. Vibrato means basically changing the pitch of a note. So if the note is here, when you do vibrato, you're oscillating the pitch. So it changes from to see how it's moving like that. So it's changing the pitch of a note, but it's done in a way that it's not sounding artificial. It's not excessive, or vibrato is too wide and you can hardly tell anymore what note you're singing because the change in pitch is so dramatic that you hear you don't really know what you're singing anymore. So it just has to be done in the right way. But like I said, as much as possible, it should come naturally, and it shouldn't be something that you create artificially. You can also think of vibrato as a mild trill. Trill is like when you go from one note to another, like that, but you do that consciously. So you sing like C, D, C, D, C, D, C, D, C, for example. Two notes next to each other. That's also a way that you can use to develop the ability in your throat to modulate the pitch and to just change and oscillate like that. But remember what I said earlier, try to make it happen in a state of relaxation. If you find yourself having to exert any tension in order to get vibrato, that is not the right way. It should be done in a state of relaxation. Once you have developed it to some extent at least, you can practice, for example, scales using vibrato. And what that does is it teaches you how to keep it consistent. So, for example, you do so you go up a scale and you just keep using vibrato. So you try to never stop it so it doesn't so it's consistent and it keeps going. But you must have developed it to some extent because otherwise this exercise isn't going to work for you. So once you feel like your voice is starting to use vibrato and it comes naturally and it comes in a relaxed way, then you can try to do this, which will allow you, when you sing a song, to actually have a vibrato that's consistent. And you want that, because the more consistent and regular it is, the more pleasant it is for people to hear. So how do you use vibrato in music and songs? Well, there's not really a rule, primarily because vibrato, by definition, is something very personal and something that has to do with expression. So it very much depends on your taste, on your in the moment. Sometimes it changes from one moment to the next. But if you want to really have a little bit of a rule about it, I would suggest, this is just a suggestion, I would suggest that in general, when you sing something fast, and obviously the notes are maybe not quite as long, obviously you don't have a lot of time to do vibrato, but when you do have time to do it, it probably will be a little bit faster. So the oscillation will be faster. You know, if you sing something like that, that has a lot of movement. But when you sing something slow, then you have more time to. So the vibrato is also slower, but this comes pretty naturally because you're singing something slow. There's a slower pace, and so vibrato too tends to naturally follow that. So this is, like I said, it's not a rule, but it's pretty much musical common sense. You know, it's just something that comes natural to do. So as you learn vibrato, you will see that you will have more and more control over it, and you'll be able to decide when you want it, how much of it, how wide, how narrow. You can decide to not use it on some notes. Sometimes a nice effect is to hold a note and then to do vibrato only later, like so, and then it becomes louder with more vibrato, or whatever it may be, the music may require. But you want to practice vibrato long enough so that all these little tricks, let's say, are available to you when you need them. You want to be able to control that, and you want to be able to do it also without any previous preparation. You know, it doesn't have to be something that you practiced that way. Maybe in that moment, that particular song comes to you in a certain way, with a certain interpretation, with certain feeling, and so you want to be able to follow that. And vibrato is one of the greatest tools that we have for to express a certain mood, a certain feeling in music, and to give a certain interpretation. Certainly when you hear a singer with a nice vibrato, immediately, even without consciously knowing what it is, you get the sense that, oh, this is someone who can sing. You know, it may or may not be completely true, but it often is. You know, you hear a nice, regular, consistent vibrato, and immediately you associate that with a trained voice, which is usually pretty accurate. So anyway, I hope this video was helpful. Like I said, there's not very much technically that you can teach or learn, but it's more about reaching a certain level of technical skill, technical preparation, and then consciously nudge your voice to do it. And then once it starts, then you can control it a little bit more and then work on it to make it better, to make it more consistent, and to bring it under your control. But it's a gradual thing, but it starts primarily with something that you can't really make happen. It's something that you nudge, and gradually your voice is able to do it. And you cannot start too soon. You have to have a certain level, like I said in the beginning. So thank you so much for watching. If you found this video helpful, please consider giving it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to my channel for future videos I will put out. Thank you so much for watching. Have a beautiful week. Bye bye.